Apostle Leon McCray, and I just want to talk to you just a few minutes about real estate and actually the wisdom of what it means to be a real estate investor and how has it benefited myself and how it could benefit you. One of the things about real estate, it allows you a great deal of freedom, a great deal of flexibility, and for me, it allows me to be able to do the things that I want to do because I like being my own boss. I really don't like people telling me what to do. That's why I don't like, for the most part, working for other people. So this gives me the freedom to do my thing and also build the kingdom at the same time. So one of the things about being a real estate investor that it has done for me, as a black man, in our culture, we talk about 40 acres and a mule. Those were the kind of things that we were supposed to get when we came out of slavery, but most of us never got the 40 acres and a mule. Well, how many of you know that in Christ, if we ask Him, we can get the 40 acres and a mule? But most of us, because we have not been taught financial literacy, we get the mule or the pretty car or the pretty truck, but we don't have the 40 acres. I want to talk to you a little bit about getting the 40 acres or income producing property and let that income producing property that you have buy your mule or buy your car or buy your truck or buy your tours or buy your vacations or buy the things that you've been praying for and that you want the Lord to bless you with. Because real estate can do that for you. And so, I had a brother ask me one time, he said, and actually, I'm his pastor, and he said, well, Pastor, why are you driving that raggedy car? The bumper's falling off, why are you driving that car? I mean, I know you can afford to have a better car. And he's right. But I like that truck. That truck right now has about 369,000 miles on it. It's very comfortable. It's a 2003 GMC Yukon XL. It's still comfortable. It's still a very nice truck. Got a lot of miles on it. Like I said, 369,000 and counting. And I really want to see if it could go to 500,000 miles. And that's one of the reasons that I drive it. But the other reason I drive it is it's paid for. Let me say that again. It's paid for. Now, that individual that mentioned that, he drives a vehicle that's not paid for. Probably about $400 to $600 a month. Well, I don't like making payments. All right. And so, if I was to get a vehicle and wanted to make payments, then I would want someone else to pay for it. Namely, I would want my tenants to pay for the vehicle. And so one of the things that I recently did, because, and one of the reasons I just bought a vehicle, which I'm driving now. It's a Mercedes GL 450, which is a very enjoyable car. But I didn't have the money for it. So how do you buy a Mercedes-Benz and don't have any money? Well, because I've been blessed to own real estate, my real estate tenants, they pay for the car. Well, how did they do that? Well, I was able to refinance a piece of property, actually a 6-unit apartment building that I've owned for some time. I refinanced that and I bought a $40,000 Mercedes-Benz, or should I say my tenants bought it. Now, going back to the 40 acres and a mule, I could have chose to make payments on a car years and years ago, but I didn't. I drove the car that I've been driving for, since 2005 is when I bought the car. And I'm driving it now. But I wanted to get in a position where my assets pay for my toys. And truly, driving a Mercedes-Benz is a toy. It's a non-appreciating asset, but I don't even call it an asset. And the reason I don't call it an asset is because anything that takes money out of your pocket is, not, to me, not an asset. So a car, even though very nice, and the banks may consider it an asset, I do not consider it an asset because it takes money out of my pocket every month, even if it's just for insurance, for gas, upkeep, and so forth. All right. So when it comes to purchasing things that are liabilities or things that take money out of your pocket, I really want my assets, things that put money in my pocket. Let me repeat that. An asset is something that puts money into your pocket. And that's what real estate does. Every month, it is an income producing asset that puts money in my pocket, namely through my tenants. And, you know, I love to spend time with my granddaughter. And one of the things that I would do, you know, I'd take my granddaughter with me and we'd go riding. And we may ride around to some of my properties and I ask her, well, you know, you see what I do. You see me collecting rents and so forth. I said, you have to make a choice, sweetheart. What side of the door do you want to be on? Do you want to be the one knocking on the door collecting rent? Or do you want to be the one that's inside and to open the door to give me a check? And of course she said she wants to be the one knocking on the door. Well, we all have those choices. So what do we do to put ourselves in a position to do that? Well, sometimes we have to defer buying things that could be considered an asset or be considered a luxury. We have to defer those things for later on. Like I said, I could have bought a car years and years ago, made payments, and got the bank rich, because that's what you do. You know, the bank makes money out of your money. And when you finance a car, what you are doing is you are purchasing, or you become the bank's asset. Just like my tenants have become my asset. All right. So let's move on from there. How do you position yourself to buy, let's say, your first property? Well, I would encourage you to buy a house if you're renting right now, because if you're renting, all that money is like, it provides a roof over your head, yes, okay, but you really don't get any tax breaks for that, and it really, at the end of the day, it doesn't build up equity, and it's not an asset for you. All right, so you can't get to a point where it is a legacy asset for you, and you can give it to your kids or give it to your grandkids or make it a part of your trust or anything. You can't do that because you don't own it. So if you're living in a house, those things the government has set aside, that those things can be an asset for you, and it's something that, once it's paid off, you can will it to your kids, you can rent it out, it can produce income for you, you can take a second loan on it. There are different options that you can do to provide wealth for your family. Now, most people believe that the house that they live in is an asset. I don't really agree with that. I kind of agree with Robert Kiyosaki and Rich Dad Poor Dad. The house that you live in, for the most part, remember my definition of an asset. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket, whereas a liability takes money out of your pocket. And if you have a house, you know that house, you got to feed it every month. You got to pay utilities on it. If you got a mortgage, you got a mortgage payment. You got upkeep, you got maintenance. It takes money out of your pocket. Now, there is a way that you can make that or convert that to an asset, and that's if you rent it out. The new term is house hacking. In other words, you have a 3-bedroom house, you only use 2 bedrooms, and you rent the 3rd one out, okay? And sometimes you can get maybe $300, $400, $500, $600 a month for that extra bedroom. Well, maybe that will be, it will subsidize your mortgage. If you don't have a mortgage, well, maybe that will pay all your utilities. And so you can get to a point where maybe you rent out 2 rooms, okay? And you can get to a point where that extra money pays for the house that you live in. And now that becomes an asset for you. All right? But let's just say you're a person that like your privacy and you don't want anyone living in your house. So now, how do you get a second house? Well, you can always get a loan, or maybe you have enough cash in the bank to buy a house, a rental house. All right, that makes sense. Well, one option that I don't hear a lot of people talk about, particularly people, black people like myself, I haven't heard anyone mention this, but one of the things that you can do is you can have a self-directed IRA. Most of us know about 401ks that we get with our jobs, or we know about IRAs, or we know about Roth IRAs. Well, there's another thing that you can get. It's called a self-directed IRA. And when I say self-directed IRA, I'm talking about a specific type of IRA that you can actually purchase an asset, an income-producing asset, such as a house. Years ago, probably back in 2005, I got turned on to the idea of buying property through my IRA, my self-directed IRA. And I bought this little 2-bedroom house through my IRA. Actually, my IRA bought the house. And how that works, my IRA paid cash for the house, and every month, that particular property right now, I think it started at about $700 a month, but now it's rented out for a little over $900 a month, and every month it produces that, and that money goes in my IRA, and it continues to build up, tax deferred. That's a strategy. So that's one strategy that you might be able to use. Now, eventually you got to pay taxes on it, but hey, that's what we do anyway, okay? So that's a strategy. Another strategy might be to get a loan from a bank. I bought many properties having a loan from a bank. Okay, but what I want to make sure if I do that the property pays for itself. In other words, the property, the income that's produced by that property, that tenant is paying the mortgage, all the utilities, insurance, taxes, and I definitely want that property to pay me a little bit every month because I am taking the risk by owning that property. So that's an income producing property that my tenant would pay for. That's another way to do it, okay? And so when I buy a property, let's just say I'm buying a $100,000 property. Let's just say the mortgage on that property is $700 a month. The taxes and utilities makes up another $150, $200 a month. Let's just say $200 a month. So now that's $700 plus $200, $900. And then every month it produces $100 in addition to the expenses. And that's the cash flow that I get for that property. So the tenant is paying the property off. paying all expenses on the property, paying me $100 a month. And because Uncle Sam or the government loves me, Uncle Sam gives me a tax break, because that's how the rich get richer. The government incentivizes those that buy property or income producing property, and they give you a tax break for owning the property. Well, not only do they give you that tax break, they also give you what they call depreciation expenses. In other words, the government, even though you're making money on the property, the government almost pretends that you're losing money on the property, and now you get a depreciation expense for the property that you can write off in addition to the taxes and the other expenses. Nowhere, only America. I mean, we live in that kind of society where you get incentivized to do those kind of things. And so when I say, you know, we want to position ourselves as a people to take advantage of these things, we got to do that. Now, that doesn't matter whether we got President Obama's in office, President Bush is in office, or President Trump is in the office. These incentives are there for us. The question is, what are you going to do about it? We can whine about who's in office and what they're doing, but the truth of the matter is they don't know you. Neither one of them know you. None of them know you. All right? So how do we position ourselves to take advantage of the things that we are legally able to take advantage of? But one thing, you're going to have to ask God to allow you to see that which you've never seen before, because many of us have never been taught financial literacy. But God says if we ask for wisdom, he will give it to us liberally. Okay? So that might mean you need to read a book. You may have to take a class. You may have to get a mentor or get someone that's already doing what you want to do. But the information is out there for you, and we can build up our financial literacy, and we can have a legacy for generations to come. And the bottom line, we now can get our mule and our 40 acres through real estate. I got much more to say, but right now I want to end it there. And if you have any questions, you can contact me at leon@leonmccrae.com, or you can contact me at 540-335-1528. Until we meet again, this is Dr. Apostle Leon McCrae with The Lighthouse. Thank you very much.